Oli ku mukutu ogwa Longawo TV nkwaniriza yonna gy'osinzidde okubanga otulaba ondaba mu kaseera kano ndi musanyufu kakati n'ekireese essanyu kyakubanga twawezezza basubscribe 2,000 mwebale nnyo kusubscribinga mwebale tulaga mukwano omukwano gwammwe tugusiima y'ensonga lwaki naffe twongera okubaleetera ebyo bye mwetaaga kakati nno bw'atannaba kubanga osubscribinga nkusaba obe nga okikolako mbwangu nkusaba busabi ate naawe atayagala subscribinga remember if you don't subscribe I'll take your dog. Kakati olwaleero Bobi Wine ayogeddeko eri ensi nga njagala okutegeeza ebimu ku bigambo bye byayogedde olwaleero mu USA byanjawulo. Olwaleero gwe mulundi gwange ogusoose okulaba Bobi Wine nga munyiivu ebitagambika. Ebbanga ddene lye mulabidde okuva we yatandika campaign abadde tayogerangako bigambo mu bulumi obw'ekitalo obufanako bwe buti ng'ate musunguwavu. Era kindaze nti Bobi Wine ekituufu kiri nti ebintu byakola byonna biva ku mutima. Ebintu byonna byakola biva ku mutima. Si byakuba nti mbw alina kyayagala okufunamu, mbw alina byayagala nedda. Kyendabye nti Bobi Wine ekintu ky'okulwana n'okwagala okutereeza Uganda akikola ava kwegamba akikola kiviira ddala ku mutima. Era vidiyo eno yekindaze ye lwaki nkulwisa. Katandike vidiyo.
I am not going to negotiate my freedom or my rights because no sane person negotiates that. My rights are inherent according to the Constitution of Uganda and they are not granted by the state. And neither is my freedom. And this is to make it clear that I'm not a kind of person that rejects any negotiation. No, I believe in dialogue, but in transparent and principled dialogue, not transactional.
Are you ready to have negotiations with the government?
I thought I answered that question before you asked it. But however, I must remind you that our forefathers, and to quote the great Nelson Mandela, taught us that you cannot put your boot on my neck and then say we should negotiate. No, it's only free men that negotiate.
How do you respond to such comparison between you and President Museveni in terms of wanting change to happen in Uganda?
I would definitely not dismiss the fact that once upon a time General Museveni loved, or he seemed to have loved his country. At my age, he was saying exactly what I'm saying and probably even more eloquent. But as we've been taught by history that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. General Museveni said that Africa's problem in general and Uganda in particular are the leaders that overstay in power. He said this 40 years ago. Unfortunately, 40 years later, he's still in power. When he was pursuing change, he picked up guns and more than 500,000 Ugandans died in his pursuit of what he called change. Unfortunately, 40 years down the road, we realized that this blood was shed in vain. I'm passionate about change, but I'm also aware that life matters. The difference between us is that he believes in violence and we don't believe in violence because we have seen what violence does. Violence, besides breeding more violence, it creates a sense of entitlement where those that cause change through violence always feel like they own and they're entitled. And this is what has shown again and again and again from the times of Robert Mugabe and now Mnangagwa and to the times of Yoweri Museveni. So while we pursue change, we believe that non-violence is stronger than violence. And that was why we chose to pursue that line.
You said your life was in danger, but you were constantly on social media platforms, videotaping yourself, talking in some areas or in some parts of Uganda before leaving. And that they said this is just a mere publicity stunt just to demonize the country and make the president unpopular among Ugandans, and that you lost the election fair and square. You are just, trying to blackmail the government using some of these videos that you are making just to undercut the international support the government has. What say you?
By the fact that we are communicating virtually using the internet, it makes me suppose that you have been watching the tweets of the Chief of Defense Forces in Uganda, who is also the son of General Museveni, who has publicly confessed to killing 24 members of my party and saying that I should be the 25th dead body. I'm sure you have seen him promise and indeed fulfilling the promise of abducting my people, beginning with my bodyguard, who was abducted and tortured under his basement, and he did this live on social media. I am sure you are aware that my house was raided on the 16th of January, just one day after the election, and I had to run away from my home. I am sure that you have seen that on the 25th of January, again, my house was raided and my wife beaten so bad that she ended up in hospital and she had to escape from the hospital bed to sneak out of the country. I am sure you have seen that. And anybody that calls this a publicity stunt, I am not sure what to call this. My home was taken over and occupied by the military until yesterday, when out of shame and out of international pressure, they had to leave my country. Now, if raiding, torturing my family and occupying my house after ramshackling it is a publicity stunt, I don't know, is it my publicity stunt or the publicity stunt of the Ugandan military? I ran out of the country. I ran out of my house, but I was able, just like I was able to outsmart and beat the Ugandan military, which had surrounded my house, to leave my house. I was able to beat them to close to 2 months when I was within the country. But I had, like I mentioned, that I ran out of my house and was in hiding to be sure that I communicate to the world. I'm sure if I stayed, I would either be dead or completely tortured. I would not be able to communicate to the world. But ever since I left, I've been able to offer leadership to the forces of change. And indeed, I'm able to communicate to the world like I'm doing now. So if me being able to communicate to the world and expose the atrocities of the Ugandan regime is a publicity stunt, then I don't think that's a bad publicity.
Ebyo byebimu ku bigambo omukulu Bobi Wine byayogedde. Mpe ndowoozayo ki ky'olowooza ku bigambo ebyo gwe abitegedde obulungi? Bobi Wine ayongedde okikkaatiriza mu bigambo bye tagenda kubanga ateeseganya ne gavumenti ku ddembe lye okubanga akomawo e Uganda okubeera seefu ebintu ebifaanako bwe bityo. Agamba tagenda kubanga ateesa ne gavumenti, tagenda kutuula wansi kuteesa na gavumenti ku ddembe lye. Era ayongedde n'akikkaatiriza n'agamba nti ye tatuulangako mu nteeseganya na gavumenti era tatuulangako mu nteeseganya ne Pulezidenti Museveni ku kuteesa eddembe lye. I think sigenda kubanga nsukawo wano. Nkwebaza gwe wenabadde ku video eno, gisharinge, subscribinga, likinga video eno esobola kubanga etambula otuuka ku bantu ab'enjawulo. Mbagala nnyo mbagala nnyo. Sigenda kubanga okujjako nja kubalekerayo akantu kano. Tuli mu biseera eby'okuyingira Easter era simanya abamu ku mmwe abakatuliki musiibye ki, naye I think kyandibadde ky'amakulu nnyo okubanga mulina kye musiibye kubanga kirungi mu bulamu okubanga osiiba. Abakatuliki ekyenjawulo kye tulina ku kusiiba era bye bimu ku ebyo binjagaza abakatuliki, ssaako n'okunjagaza abasiraamu kuba nabo balina byenjagala. Era nze gwe mulaba wano nali njagaddeko okubeerako omusiraamu olw'okuba nti nyina ebintu bye nali neegomba mbasiraamu, naye munnange nga bwe mubimanyi kati ndi mukatuliki ndi musiraamu, ndi mukatuliki ndi musiraamu, naye nga mbadde mbagamba ebimu ku ebyo bye mulina okuba nga mumanya mu kisiibo kino ekibaddeyo eky'abakatuliki nga tuyingira mu Easter. Njagala okimanye nti okusiiba si kizibu, eky'abakatuliki si kizibu, nti osiiba kintu kimu kyekyenjawulo ekiriwo. Osiiba ekyo ky'owulya ky'oyagala ennyo, n'ogamba bwe mba njagala nnyo okulya paani kye ngenda okusiiba, sigenda kubanga nkirya mu kisiibo kino. Saate mbasiraamu ekisiibo olina siiba lumu, olina osiiba ebintu byonna, era kikulagira ddala nti ebisiibo bino byanjawulo, ebisiibo bino ebibiri byanjawulo, eky'abakatuliki n'abasiraamu, naye ate buli kimu kirina amakulu ag'enjawulo. So gwe abadde tannaba kubanga obusiiba nkusaasidde, kwata bukwasi lunaku ng'olunaku olukulu lutuuse olwa Easter, genda bugenzi mu church. Okitegeera ensonga lwaki njogedde ebigambo bino, mbyogedde olw'okuba nti omuntu gwe tubadde naye olwaleero, of course Bobi Wine, musajja mukatuliki ate nga tuyingira Easter. Kakati bagala nnyo sigenda kubanga nsukka wano mubeere bulungi mweraba